Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Today I'm going to be joined by Julie of Tiny Buffalo Consulting. She's just in. So let's see here if I can add her into the live. Awesome. She should be popping in soon. Today we're going to be talking about social media content and how to manage it as a small business. And I've got Julie here. Julie is the expert in all things social media management. She owns her own consulting company and she helps lots and lots of small business owners and entrepreneurs figure out what the heck they're supposed to be doing. Good morning.
Good morning.
Why don't you tell us?
I haven't seen you in a while.
Well, I see your face almost every day with all the
That's
stuff
true.
you're posting. But tell
I mean,
oh yes, in person. It has been a long time. Well, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell everyone about all of your amazingness.
I don't know about amazingness. I am Julie. I am the owner of Tiny Buffalo Consulting. I launched Tiny Buffalo Consulting in March of 2020, which is a story in and of itself. I basically help people get their business message. I help small business owners get their message out into the world in a much bigger way through social media marketing, through copywriting, through major content repurposing, whether that's you have a podcast and we spin it out in a bunch of different directions or something like that. So that I basically service small business owners to get more eyeballs on their business.
Yes, and I'm telling you, if you don't already follow Julie, you really should, because everything that she puts out is like an aha moment, especially in your blog. If you go through your blog, you've just got so much there to share. It's unbelievable. And one of the things I think that one of the articles I saw on your blog was about getting traffic to your blog, because we all know, we all hear it all the time. If you want to have SEO, good SEO, you've got to have that blog. But then how do we get people to go there? How do we get people to see our posts?
Yeah, I think gone are the days of just blogging, then posting a link to the blog on Facebook and saying, come read my blog, which is what people were doing 5 years ago. I don't think people are reading blogs as much anymore, but I still think they're very important because they can serve, first of all, as a foundation for the rest of your content for the week. If you've thought out a blog post, it doesn't have to be a blog post, but blog posts are good for that. And then secondly, what you mentioned is SEO. And in order for your website to be ranked in the, almighty Google search, is SEO tactics that you can implement in your blog. So that is one of the main reasons that I think people should have blogs, is because for the search.
Right. And then just, you touched on it a little bit too, is people aren't reading blogs, right? They aren't clicking the link in bio and leaving Instagram, right? They're reading. But you talked about repurposing that content. And I actually saw a post from someone else earlier today about how no one is clicking the link in the bio, that they want all of the stuff kind of in their scroll. And there was actually a question on our post for you today, just kind of about that, and and you basically already said it. You don't think people are really reading blogs anymore, and about should they put the bulk of their content in the Instagram post, either in the comments or in the scroll, or should they be teasing it and asking people to go visit a blog? What should we be doing?
Yeah, I think there's multiple ways to go about it. And the thing with marketing is you have to try things to see if they work. And if they work, then you do more of that. But you have to try things and let them fail sometimes, which is hard, to find out what works. So one of the things that you can do to actually draw people back to your website onto your blog is in an email, actually sort of present the first little snippet and then invite people to go to the blog to read the rest. So that would be one really good way. And it's good to bring people back to your website, because if they go to your blog, then they can see your services. They could just find out more about you in depth if they come back to your website. So that's one way. But another way, yeah, is to go on Instagram. Do not share your whole blog on Instagram in one post. Like, that is just not what Instagram is for. But Instagram is great for like those slide carousels where you have like multiple images that people can swipe through. And then you can share some, like, maybe one main thought and a few subpoints in that carousel. And you can do that more than once, you know, so that you write one blog post, you might be able to get 3 carousels out of it. And I wouldn't post those, you know, 3 in a row, but mix them up where it makes sense. And then as a call to action, you know, you can have a link in your bio that has your blog link, and you can call people to go read, you know, the rest of it in your blog. So those are 2 really great ways to sort of get more eyes on your blog. I also think, you know, we're on Instagram, and Instagram tends to be very skeptical of LinkedIn people, and LinkedIn people tend to be very skeptical of Instagram, because LinkedIn is not a visual platform. I mean, it is to an extent, but not like Instagram, right? And then, you know, most people on Instagram think LinkedIn's kind of stuffy. I mean, that's changing, but it's mainly text driven. So it feels a little bit like, what? I don't understand. You know, I don't need to use images, blah, blah, blah. But long form text posts work really well on LinkedIn. So that's where, you know, repurposing your blog works well too. Again, I wouldn't put the entire blog in one post, and I would definitely break it up, but it's great for LinkedIn posts as well.
So you are also, you know, one of your specialties is getting small business owners on LinkedIn. Now, for me, LinkedIn, like I said, it feels very corporate networky, right? Like people post their resumes, and it's all, you know, not in the creative entrepreneur lane that I'm in. How do you help creative entrepreneurs gain the presence on LinkedIn? Because it is a different way, it's a different approach than Instagram, which is easy for us. I feel like it's very easy for creatives to be on Instagram, but it's not. I don't know how to use LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think with you, I'm trying to think of my clients who are on LinkedIn. They are more service-based businesses. Although I have seen some artists on LinkedIn, but I think for you, especially with your shift to some more like branding and how to create this sort of your branding visuals and all of that falls in line with your overall brand. I mean, there's just a lot of wisdom you can share that isn't tied to an image. And it's not like people never use images on Instagram. They definitely do. I mean, LinkedIn. I need more coffee. And you know what's becoming popular on LinkedIn recently is the carousel posts. So it looks a little different on LinkedIn, and you have to download it as a PDF, and you get up to like 20 slides on LinkedIn. So a lot of people are doing that now. So I would just try it, like, especially with you, Jenelle, you're so, like, your graphics are so good, and you always have so much good information. Like, the organic reach on LinkedIn, I think it's changing, but I think it's still time to like jump on board before it changes too much, because it has the largest organic reach of all the social platforms.
Now, when we're looking at defining our audience on LinkedIn, you know, we define it on Instagram so we know how to structure our posts and who we're speaking to. Are we speaking to the same type of audience on LinkedIn, or are we looking at, like, when I think of LinkedIn, I think of colleagues as opposed to clients? You know what I mean? Like, so how do we define our audience the same way on LinkedIn? Yeah. Management? Okay.
Yeah, and it's easier to search for them too, because LinkedIn has some very specific search filters for the type of person that you're looking for, and then you can just connect with that person. I mean, I think it's obviously a networking platform too, but there's definitely benefits to networking with your colleagues or meeting new people that don't turn into business for yourself, because they refer you to other people. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it is a unique platform, but finding your target audience on LinkedIn, I would say, is easier than it is on Instagram.
Interesting. Now, you've got a freebie guide, which I've used. I started on the LinkedIn, and then I got all like befuzzled. like this freebie that you've got is fantastic. What can we find in this LinkedIn guide that you've created?
Yeah, let me think. It's been a while since I created it, but I mean, it's all about, how to optimize your profile, because there's a lot of steps that you need to take to be like what LinkedIn calls an all-star profile. And that just means like you've filled in all the information, like, your experience, your about section, your profile photo, featured posts. They have a really cool section where you can feature like high performing posts or blog posts, so that it's like a living resume. People can go directly to that. So once you set all that up, then you have sort of this all-star profile. So that's in there. Engagement tips and tricks, like how to work with the algorithm, LinkedIn's algorithm. Let's see, what else was in there? Oh, how to find your ideal audience on LinkedIn. Like there's actually a video clip in the LinkedIn freebie that I created that shows you the exact way to find your target audience, like what you need to click on, what you need to type in, the filters, and all of that. I think I also included like image dimensions. So for your profile photo, your cover photo, what should be in your cover photo, right? And post dimensions, stuff like that. So a little cheat sheet in there too.
That's awesome. Yeah, LinkedIn is it always feels like a little bit of a wild card. It's not that, you create something for Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest, and you just, auto post across all platforms. But LinkedIn always felt a little bit more, and almost a little bit more conversational. Like the little bit that I do on Instagram, I always feel like the people there engage it in a different way. Like it's a conversational platform almost. I've felt like a lot of people offer really constructive comments.
Yeah, for sure. I've enjoyed it. I don't know. I keep like gravitating back to Instagram because I'm such a visual person. So Instagram's still my like platform of choice, but I've learned a ton from LinkedIn, a ton.
So speaking of platforms of choice, there's like a million different ways that you can be on social media, right? And I feel like it's to say that you've got to be on everything is pretty much impossible. And I know that different businesses thrive on different platforms. So how do you help business owners find what platform serves them best? Like, how will I know if I should, without just the time and the effort to put in, how do you help these business owners find their place?
First, I want to say the Elegant Adventure photo. I will DM you the link to that freebie. I'm sorry I don't know your first name. That feels weird to call you out that way. But I'll DM you for the live. How do I help business owners find? Well, I think it's the intersection of two things. It's where is your audience and what are you naturally good at? Because I don't think you can't choose one or the other. And there's always an intersection. So if you don't like writing, if you're not really, and you're not a good writer, and you don't really like, LinkedIn doesn't bring you joy, then don't go on LinkedIn or hire somebody to do it. Do you know what I mean? But find a platform that like lights you up. You know what I mean? That you feel natural at. I mean, Jenelle, I feel like for you, it's Instagram, obviously. But you do need to make sure that the people that you're trying to reach are there too, because that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So finding that intersection between those two things is sort of how I lead people. Now, some people are really good on video. So maybe instead of a blog, they do a YouTube channel, right? And here's the cool thing about YouTube. You can always create a blog around a YouTube video, embed the YouTube video in your blog, because Google owns YouTube. And if you have a video in your blog, a YouTube video in your blog, you're going to go up in the search rankings. So, there's just but some people don't feel comfortable on camera. So then you really shouldn't start a YouTube channel. You know what I mean? That just doesn't make sense. So
you got to stick with what feels good, because otherwise, and that's what my approach to social media has always been. If it doesn't feel good, I'm just not going to either not do it today or not do it, for now, whatever it is, because I feel like the longer people are on social media, even as a consumer, like a user of social media, like I know when people are doing it just to do it and not doing it because they're enjoying it.
Right.
And people on the other side of that can feel if you're not feeling it. All right. No. So Shira asked down here, how would a portrait photographer for women utilize LinkedIn? What kind of advice do you have for her?
Yeah, if this is for like branding photos for your business or for like headshots and stuff like that, I mean, just digging down deep to why these women need your services and what transformation you provide, and what it will do for their business if they have these photographs. And a lot of people on LinkedIn talk about just the lessons they've learned in owning a business and like what's worked and what hasn't. So even if you are more of a creative entrepreneur, you still have those life lessons in you, right? And you still are experimenting with like automation tools or like content marketing tactics. And so all of that is fair game for any entrepreneur on LinkedIn. And so I would really suggest for people to spend time on LinkedIn before they dive in to see how people in your industry are talking, because they are talking differently on LinkedIn than they would be on Instagram or Facebook. And then sort of see how your voice can be mixed with that. Do you know what I mean? But you want to show, Shira, people like why they need your services and share some tips about how to show up for a session, stuff like that you would share on Instagram too would work.
Yeah, and then it almost becomes, like you said before, almost like a one-off marketing where you're putting out all this information in the world, so that people remember you, and then they end up referring you when a friend says, "Oh, I need this," and in Raleigh or Dallas or wherever, and they're like, "Oh, there's this photographer I follow. You should check her out. She's in your area," or whatever. So it becomes that like one-off without even having to actually market yourself or sell yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, I think even like anatomy of a photography shoot post, or like I used to do photo shoots this way and I realized that this was happening and that wasn't good, and so now I do them this way. I mean, just all sorts of stuff like that really apply to any business owner. I mean, you just have to figure out the language of LinkedIn, and you can do it.
Yeah, that little separate social media, that LinkedIn is always that wild card. Everything else seems to feel so easier, and it's probably because I just never spend time there. Like you said, just spend some time there and kind of feel out and hear the language, because it's almost a different culture, I guess. If social media each had a culture,
Yeah.
there's Facebook culture and Instagram culture, YouTube culture, trying to figure it all out. So what other things do you I guess, what's the mentor your clients on when it comes to managing your social media? What are some of those best practices that you make them have, train them to have? I don't know what the word is.
I mean, I think, go ahead. Oh, I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
I think just my motto is, work smarter, not harder. And I think we get overwhelmed with content creation because we think we have to be saying something new every day. And so, which isn't true. And really having one centerpiece per week that you can just kind of fan out from is what you need to be doing. So, whether that's some long form blog, and by long form I don't mean like 2,000 words, or some LinkedIn post or an Instagram carousel that can be repurposed in multiple ways. And so I would really advise people to stick to one thought per week. Now you're going to be presenting that thought maybe in different ways and spinning off from that thought, but pick themes for each week based on your content pillars, and you can plan that out weeks in advance so that you're at least grounded. I'm more of an intuitive content creator. I kind of feel the moment and I'm like, okay, this is what I need to say. That sometimes bites me, and it's not that I never schedule content, I do, but with themes really helps just ground you. Like, this is what I'm talking about this week and only this. So whether it's Instagram Live, whether that's an Instagram carousel, whether that's a feed post, like I'm spinning them out in multiple different ways in the different avenues that Instagram gives me.
Gotcha. And so this is what you were talking about in the very beginning about educating your clients on how to repurpose content, right? Because there's all kinds of I mean, like I have plans for this live right here to be repurposed in at least different ways over time, right? Because, you know, in a couple of weeks, I'll repost our interview for all the people who missed it today. So what are some ways that we can repurpose? Let's just start with a blog post. Let's say we write a blog post. How can we repurpose a blog? What's some examples? People who are like, I don't know what to do.
Well, the cool thing about Instagram Live that I recently thought of just to get back to that really quick, is taking like screen recordings of the interview so that people don't have to wade through the whole thing to get to like the important tidbits, and like sharing that in your stories. That's something I've been doing. And then you can also invite them to watch the whole thing again, right? So that's another way to sort of pull people back in and, you know, just have different sorts of content moving through your feed on Instagram. The blog post, again, I think one thing that we didn't discuss is again, having that, if you're a writer, if that feels good to you, or if you have someone on your team who's a writer, because we're all in different places. Like some of us are doing it all ourselves, and some of us have a team, and the blog post becomes the centerpiece. So you can pull stuff for Twitter, like really quick sentences, you know. And Twitter, I'm not on Twitter. I like Twitter. I appreciate Twitter. I think it's great. I just don't have time for it. One day, you know, if I have an expanded team, I might. But you can pull short quips from your blog and put them on Twitter. And it's probably good to post about 5 tweets per day if you want any traction, at least. So in that blog post, though, you've got 5 tweets. I mean, you do. True. If you don't, you got to go figure out what's wrong. You know?
Yeah.
LinkedIn post, you know, a couple of LinkedIn posts for sure, you know, talking about the main points of the blog. And then LinkedIn is very much in that, like, link in the comments. Do not put your link in the actual post because that will penalize you in the algorithm. They want people to stay on their platform. And I would say that's for most social media, you know, platforms today. So you invite people to read the whole blog in the comments and put the link there. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, email. I didn't even talk about that. So
everyone, that's the big moneymaker.
Yeah. So I mean, like, either kind of copying and pasting and tweaking for email the whole thing, or, you know, including kind of the most tantalizing tidbit and inviting them to read the rest on the blog. Do you know what I mean? So that you're drawing people back to your website where they can see your services and find out more about you, blah, blah, blah. So those are my 3 big, but I mean, do not, like, that's the grounding thing about a blog. You can spin it out in a million different directions. I could probably think of 15 more ways. And also, like, you can do this on Facebook too. I personally don't use Facebook. I think business pages are dead, but like Facebook groups, I feel like are really good use for Facebook. But anyway, like, if you have an active following on Facebook, you can do the same thing and, you know, repurpose it for Facebook as well. I just don't mention Facebook a lot because, I don't know, it's kind of like my ex-boyfriend, you know?
Yeah. The auto post from Instagram to Facebook, but I hardly ever go and check anything on there. You know, maybe I feel like I feel like I'm obligated to do the Facebook thing, but I don't think my people are on Facebook.
I feel like it's an older demographic. So if, you know, if you're 35 plus, 40 plus, people are it's probably important to have some content on there. And people search for businesses on Facebook. So it's just a little down on the totem pole for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the idea of repurposing. I think that is something that people really just need to take more advantage of. And you know, one thing I like to tell people too is that if you've already posted an Instagram post on a topic, that doesn't mean you can't, I mean, you can even reuse the same images over and over again, because not everybody is seeing your stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have, we talked a little bit about reels when I talked to Marissa about the hashtags, but how do you coach your clients on using reels?
Most of my clients, I create their reels, but oh, reels. Oh, it was such a hopeful thing. I feel like in the beginning, they were drawing in so much viewership. And now I just think there's kind of standard. Like, they're definitely a good thing to do. But I think a lot of people are scared of them, and especially people that don't want to be on camera. So it's hard if you have a client, like for me, that doesn't want to be on camera. For instance, I have a fine artist who does beautiful art. She doesn't want to be on camera. She barely wants to be in the photographs with her art. I'm like, listen, I want your hand painting something. Like, that's all you got to do.
Yeah.
You know, but with reels now, I mean, you can do still photos and have them click through. I think the biggest thing to remember for reels is to have fun. Like, if you're comfortable on camera, like, just have fun with it. And then secondly is quick transitions. So, talking for 30 seconds is not going to work, straight 30 seconds. Like, do really quick clips with the text, that matches with those transitions for viewership to like carry through the whole reel. So
yeah, and those
trending audio, I mean, I don't that's a big thing right now. You're supposed to get more viewership if you use some trending audio. I'm more intuitive and I want it to like match what I'm saying. So, but you can, in order to find trending audio, you can look at the music, resource library that pops up. And if it has like a white sort of diagonally pointing upward line, then it's trending. And that can help too to boost your viewership. I mean, it's a great way to reach a new audience. It really is, because
right.
people see you outside of your normal audience. And on the explore page, it takes up more real estate than just like a static post. And I do feel like video content is we're moving more and more and more towards that. So
one more avenue of repurposing your content. If you wrote a blog post of the 5 top tips to XYZ, you do a reel where you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then boom, read
right.
more on the blog, and
Exactly.
more traction. I do get more traction on reels than anything else, but not consistently. Like, sometimes it's the trend, I'll use all the things with the transitions and the trending music, and sometimes it's like, whoo, everyone loves it, and other times it's like crickets. So I think just the key with social media is just to keep at it.
So one more quick tip. I see a huge difference in my reels numbers when I use a cover photo with text that says what the reel is going to be about, because that's what's first going to be somebody's going to see. So if they just see my face and they don't know me, and it takes them more than 2 seconds to figure out what that reel is about, they're not going to stay. But the first thing that they see, and if anybody who's watching wants to go to my feed and click on my reels, you should compare the ones where I put a cover photo on them versus the ones that I didn't. And it's a stark difference.
That is an excellent tip. See, Julie is full of all of the golden nuggets.
I know my coffee's kicking in. See, it's like almost gone.
So you have a brand new service out now, a new membership program. So what is that?
Yay, I'm so excited. Well, it's actually launching on Monday, so the doors aren't open yet, but like this week I'm spending all my time, that's my one theme this week, where I'm gonna, just talk all about the membership. But basically it's going to be hosted in a private Facebook group. It's basically my solution for, like, I do social media audits all the time, and sometimes I'm up to my ears in them, and I feel like I'm just like info dumping. But you know what mostly happens to all of us when we get stuff like that? It's like, it's all really good and you really want to do it, but you don't have the time to implement it, or it just like collects dust on your shelf. And I do these like team trainings for like, companies or whatever. And it's all great and there's good responses, but like to actually implement those things takes a different step. Like it takes an extra step, right? And so I wanted to create a community where people could feel like they could implement what they're learning. And so, you know, because a lot of people feel like they're flying by the seat of their pants when it comes to content strategy for their business. Social media is an afterthought when it should be incorporated into a content strategy that's grounded in your marketing goals for your business. Some people think it's all just about social media when really you need to be building your email list. You know, you need to be figuring out which platforms you need to be on. You know, there's just so much involved than just like maybe thinking up a post hastily and hoping for the best. You know what I mean? So there is real strategy that needs to ground your social media, that needs to ground your list building and all of that. So I am teaching all of that, and each month I'm doing one masterclass, and then we'll have an associated challenge for that masterclass where I actually review your content for that challenge in the group. And then there's also, I'll be creating each month a sort of template or swipe file that relates to that masterclass that you can download, that you always have as a resource.
Wow.
And then there's also a live Q&A. So I'll have like a prompt where you can like list questions. And then once a week, not once a month, once a week, I'll go live in the Facebook group and answer those questions that are specifically related to the topic that we're covering for the month. So, and then, you know, there's all peer-to-peer networking, obviously, and just support from, you know, fellow business owners that want to nail down a solid content strategy to get your message out into the world in a bigger way.
So what type of business who is this for? What kind of business owners? How many employees do I need to have? Is it just for the, you know, solopreneur? Who is this for?
It's probably more for solopreneurs. I mean, it can be product-based or service-based, creative or not, because, and that's the cool thing about it, is because there's actual real-time feedback that I can give, like it can be unique to your type of business. You know, I may get down the line and see that there's one, like mostly one type of entrepreneur in there and maybe hone it in that way. But for now, it's sort of open. I mean, it's not for, you know, CEOs of major corporations or anything like that. It's really just for, you know, solopreneurs, but it's also for people that have a team, you know, that want their social media strategist or their copywriter or their, you know, VA to come and sort of sharpen their content skills as well. So that's also definitely welcome.
Yeah, but it sounds like a lot of work. How much time, like, is this now, like, what kind of time investment do the members need to really dedicate towards the membership?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of work on my end. I would say the only work that, and it's the work that you want to put into it to get better, right, would be the associated challenge. So like,
so for instance, work we're already doing, but you're going to help us do it better and more efficiently.
Well, each month is going to have a theme. So the first month actually is your core messaging and refining it. And then how that is going to, like, we're going to like put it out on our social media profiles. And do you know what I mean? Like it's not going to be hard. It's not going to be hard stuff. And then if, you know, one month it's going to be Instagram Reels, like, this is how, you know, we're going to spend, you know, this week doing one reel. Do you know what I mean? On this topic, this way. It's not going to be super hard, but you're going to have a wealth of resources to help you understand the best practices to do it, to get more viewership.
So do we have to join in a certain period so that we're in line and with all the steps? Or if I, you know, decide next month that I needed to join, like, how does that work?
Well, no, you can join anytime, but the launch period will be the lowest price that it's available. So that will be a 2-week launch period. And that is the founding member price. And then the prices will go up. And then you can join at any time and still get access to the stuff that we've already created.
Gotcha. That sounds amazing.
I'm excited. I think it's like also just a great way, if you don't have a big budget, to like if you don't have the money to hire somebody on your team to do your social media, or you don't have the money to hire a coach, it's just a great affordable way to sort of start working on the content strategy for your business. So
not like a mentorship, an educational opportunity that, you know, you can keep and sustain those tools way past those membership too. But having you there to audit and guide is priceless. That's amazing.
yeah, and there's actually going to be 3 tiers. So there's going to be a basic membership, which is all that stuff that I already talked about. And then there will be some more private access to me, private audits. Even the 3rd tier is the most expensive, but it is like Voxer coaching. Like you have access to me Monday through Thursday with all of your questions, and also like private strategy calls. So anyway, Monday, check it out. You'll see all the.
Tell me about the Voxer one. I'll be on you all the time. But I know when I met you back in May, this was, you know, you were starting all that stuff. I know you wanted photos specifically for your membership, and now to watch it come to fruition is so exciting. Congratulations. What are some parting tips? Like, what is your number one thing that you wish everybody knew about social media management?
It's the long game.
Yeah.
You want it to be like the fancy viral story, but it's the long game. Try some things, see what works, see what doesn't work, and do more of what works. But that takes a while. So just be in it for the long run. And social media is like, I want you to think of it as a window, you know, like the big department stores on Fifth Avenue or something in New York City. Like they have these big window displays. That's what your social media is. It's usually the first place people go when they want to see, when they want to find out more about you. So have something in your window display. You know, don't give up on it, because it's when you see the window display, that's when you decide, well, do I want to go into the store or do I not? Do you know what I mean? So it's important, but it's the long.
I've never heard that analogy before. I love it.
Yeah, I actually got it from a friend of mine who's not in social media, so I can't take total credit for it, but I use it a lot because it's so good.
Good. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Julie. It was great to see you again.
Yes, and I'm going to have you on. We'll do that soon.
Bottom screen time. Well, have a great day and good luck on a Monday. I can't wait to see this just explode into like this huge success for you. It's going to be so big and so great. So congratulations and thank you so much.
Thanks, Jenelle. Thanks for having me.
You bet. We'll see you later.